Welcome back to Inside the Coverage, the Week 3 edition following the Ravens' obviously disappointing 38-30 loss to the Lions. Nonetheless, an exciting game if you like offenses. Unfortunately, there's a lot of negative things to say about the Ravens' defense. Another time where we feel like we've been shredded and maybe out prepared by the other team's offensive staff and especially the quarterback. The interesting thing for me is that while Goff played a very efficient game, um, statistically, he was only 20 of 28, I think, for 218. So somewhat dissimilar from the game against the Bills. What are some of your summary thoughts that you've got, EA? It's first of all difficult because we lost, and second of all because we're kind of trying to review this a day sooner since it was a Monday night game and we record this on Wednesday mornings.
Right. I've just had a chance to watch, I guess, the first three quarters again, and specifically the coverages. And I think one of the things that just jumps out, and we've discussed this a little bit, is the, I guess, apparent lack of rhyme or reason in terms of play calling. There's also mistakes on film, coverage blunders and things like that. Very different to what you see from the Lions, which is that high level communication early in the season. They're hitting the
Yeah.
ground running. We're not hitting the ground running as an
Second year in a
offensive
row,
defense.
Tim. Second year in a row that we're not hitting the ground running.
Yeah, and that's preparation, but it's the idea of being able to communicate and react and act as one and be together on the same page. You don't see that. You saw it in plenty from the Detroit Lions the other night.
Agreed. I've thought for a long time, specifically after I had opportunity to communicate with some high level players and or coaches, that at times in the NFL they almost play too many coverages. And so what I mean by that is I focus on inside linebackers. If we only played cover three and man free, okay, you're going to get beat, certain ways, but you're not going to lack execution. I'm not advocating for that simple a defensive structure. I'm using that extreme example. We, I think, are way on the other end. We're using so many different coverages and the players have so many different responsibilities that I think there is an obvious loss in efficiency, maybe across all of them, but certainly some. And it shows up sometimes in the worst moments. It'll show up in some of the plays that we talk about here. I think we've got 4 defensive snaps for the Ravens to cover. And then we're going to talk about one thing that the Lions did defensively that's interesting. I've seen it before at the high school level. Detroit executed it against the Ravens at a high level. It wasn't successful in every iteration, and that's the what I refer to as the 3+1 QB spy. There's a lot of discussion and complaints about Zach Orr on the defensive side. There should be, right? With this much talent and to come out a second year in a row and not be better prepared, even against the highest level competition. And fans are frustrated, and I share their frustration because we're going into Kansas City next week to face the highest level of preparation in Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. Do you want to get us started off with the 4th and 3 to St. Brown?
Sure. This is the first drive, 4th down conversion. You see a lot of the things that we're talking about in terms of, I guess, the dichotomy of communications, particularly if we're focusing between the two teams. If we're focusing on the Lions here, you see Goff, not just Goff, but the entire offensive personnel on the same page, in tune. He's switching protections at the line, assigning protections based on this front. Again, it's 4th and 3. Everyone making sure. You can even see the right tackle here waving. I guess that's Laporta.
Yeah. They had to adjust Laporta 3 times during the game. So I think you're absolutely right, Tim, that Goff is adjusting the protection, and then Sewell knows what Goff just said, so he knows he needs the tight end over there. And it's interesting to me. I totally agree that the Lions were very prepared, but Laporta is the one guy I would say from this game where I saw instances pre-snap of him, maybe not being in the right place.
And you can see, yeah, right. He's getting coached up here a little bit by the quarterback and by the right tackle. This could mean a couple things. This could mean I've got the edge. That hand signal, but Laporta knows what it is. Subsequent to the ball being snapped, right? They're all sliding, and he's blocking down.
Running backs picking up the nickel.
And you get 6. That's key. How quickly, again, that speaks to their communication. He knows. I think they know the blitz is coming.
Yes, absolutely, totally, and I think that's why they're and they trust their running backs with the blitzer. This is the one where St. Brown beats Hamilton to the outside, right?
Yeah, and this is, I can run the play here, but this is not a coverage I would expect Hamilton to be able to hold up in. It's just the St. Brown's got a 3-way go, and he's got too much distance, and he's got no help inside, let's say. So he can't really
run it a little forward until Urban drops out. Like run it forward like maybe another second.
Yep. And that's the other thing too. You have as your hole dropper in cover 1.
Yeah.
Apparently they're going to fiddle the back here with Urban. And this would.
I get it. I agree. I'm frustrated with things like this that don't it appears to me as if we're calling the coverage and we're running the coverage no matter where St. Brown lines up. It's a 4th and 3.
Yeah.
It's a 4th and a long 3, right? It's almost 4th and 4.
Yeah. And he's the guy along with the tight end.
Yeah. He's the guy. And he proved that over the course of the game. The first play that I'll cover is his 4th and 2 win. What bothers me is if we're going to drop someone out, I'd like to drop Urban to the side where Hamilton is. Mm-hmm. So Hamilton has a little bit of help to the inside. Hamilton can maybe play this out-breaking route a little bit better.
That's right. He's handcuffed here. There's no way he's going to be able to get under what St. Brown's running here and stop this route. He doesn't have any help inside. The other thing is you're asking Starks to come down and play the running back.
Or the tight end, because the tight end stays for pass pro, right?
Yeah. I suppose this would be cool if if Urban drops and that's for some reason Goff hits him. But like we said, they see what's going on here. I think there's this idea too. And we saw it versus the Browns where they would get underneath certain routes. They would make plans to stop the tight end. You don't see that here. You don't see Hamilton being put into a good position. This was just, to me, a backbreaker early on in the game. Yep. And I used this analogy earlier, but we're seeing the Lions with a very similar first-year defensive coordinator around the same age as Zach Orr.
Inside linebacker, yeah.
Yeah, coached inside linebackers, and comes into his 3rd game against the most dangerous weapon in the NFL and has a plan. But the idea with Orr is, and I was sharing this with Coach, I played on a bandstand with a guy who was a very good band leader, very good businessman, but not a great musician. And the other musicians in the band used to refer to him in this way. They would say, he's just up there pushing buttons. In other words, there's notes coming out, but it's not music. He doesn't mean it. And you get that same sense when you watch a lot of these coverages, the way they're being played out. You don't get the sense that the coordinator means it or that the team is buying into it.
We get, oftentimes in coaching, people talk about like, how far does St. Brown get, by the way? Can you flow it out to just see where he gains the first down? And because the point I'm trying to make is it's like a long 4, right? Mm-hmm. And Hamilton does make the tackle here or no?
He does. Yeah.
Okay. So St. Brown gets it by 3 yards. So I guess my point is, I think Hamilton against St. Brown is a matchup that is in their favor the more space there is. If the ball is at midfield and Hamilton's got to cover St. Brown, like you said, with a 3-way go, a vertical, an out-breaking route, an in-breaking route, maybe a comeback, that's an advantage for the Lions, clearly. We've got compressed space here, but in my opinion, we forfeited that compressed space by not giving Hamilton any leverage help on the inside at all. And I think that made him slower here. If it sounds like I'm making excuses for Hamilton, no problem. I just feel like, can you get it to where Urban has dropped out? I feel like if Urban, maybe to where he's at the 10, a little bit more. If Hamilton has help to his inside, like Urban is on the other hash or between the other hash and the top of the numbers, Hamilton knows he's got a little bit of help there and he can be heavier or quicker to this outbreaking route and to to the point about the preparation, the difference between the Lions and the Ravens, St. Brown, almost all of his wins in the red zone are on outbreaking routes.
Yeah.
Last week, he had 2 against the Bears. One was what I call a fade out against Tyreek Stevenson. It's a beautiful route. I mean, Ravens fans probably don't like it that I'm so appreciative, but I think that's one of the best. I think that's one of the best 11 position players in the NFL, St. Brown.
St. Brown.
Yeah, he's just a starter for every single team in the NFL, and he's a 100-catch guy for 30 of those 32 teams. I just think he's that good. But all his wins in the red zone are outbreaking routes, and here we are not playing to that tendency at all. To your point, it seems like we're just calling a defense, and if you line up in something, can you pull it back to the beginning?
Mm-hmm. That's the first thing you'd look for too, Coach, right? Those sort of tendencies.
Where is he?
What does he do in the red zone? Yeah.
I think we run the same coverage here, the same exact coverage if St. Brown is at running back. I think we run the same coverage if St. Brown is the X. Right now, it seems like, to your point about pushing buttons, we're calling defensive plays independent of what the team lines up in. And to me, that's a recipe for disaster against the highest level quarterbacks that there are in this world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And there's no question he has an understanding. The whole team has an understanding of where this ball is going to go,
mm-hmm.
and this rush that's coming. And there's no way, if this rush comes with Hamilton at this depth, that he's going to be able to stop that quick out.
Exactly.
There's no way. And you can see how quickly Goff gets rid of the football. He's thinking about this the whole time.
Knows where he's going. Knows where he's going.
Yeah.
Disappointing play, if you ask me.
Yeah,
All right, I'm gonna load up another 4th down that unfortunately is another conversion by St. Brown, and this is of course in the 4th quarter. I don't know if anyone was surprised that Detroit went for it here. 4th and 2 up. I think they're up 7. Hopefully, I've got the information right there. We'll scroll this down and try another view. Let's try that one. I don't know if that helps at all. People probably are not able to see this information right here is my guess. The font is too small. I've already contacted the company to see if they could allow us to expand the font and make this a little bit bigger.
Mm-hmm.
But in any case, man, another situation where it's St. Brown. It's 4th and 2. I get it. They've been running the ball on us a lot, so I understand that people think there's the threat of the run here. I don't believe there's any way that Detroit is running the football here. This is all Amon-Ra St. Brown to me. And a little bit of motion. So basically, they're making it look like, maybe Tesla is going to step out to Humphrey and block him, and then St. Brown, step down to block the safety, Hamilton and or Wiggins, whoever shows. I just don't think there was any chance of that happening. I'm not trying to say I told you so, but my point is when they needed a conversion, it was either Laporta or St. Brown, which I think, a lot of us knew going into the game. Goff is all over St. Brown here on the play fake. There is nothing else in Goff's mind because he trusts that dude, and St. Brown executes. He's as cool as it gets in terms of making plays in big moments. It's a great throw by Goff. Marlon also, gets a penalty on the play, so even if it was a drop or whatever, they're still going to get the first down. In the biggest moments, they were executing not at 100%. They were executing at 105%. And in the biggest moments, we are constantly making excuses for our team. I mean, people like me and you, we're constantly making excuses for our team because they don't execute at 100%. It's 94% or even 90 or even 88%. There's a loss of efficiency in the biggest moments of the game, and that's not a good sign when you talk about our coaching. Here's Marlon. Sorry, Coach, go ahead.
What do you think Humphrey is running through Humphrey's mind here? Obviously, he's reading run, block and run, and getting out on the edge. But he just lets him go.
Yep.
I don't know. Maybe that speaks to preparation in the way that you were discussing earlier. Just being situationally being able to recognize what their tendencies are and how good this guy he is up against.
Additional, again, we got another situation where the running back picks up a blitzer. In this case, it's Hamilton, right? Hamilton is the guy that Tesla is trying to get. This time it's Montgomery. It's not a home run from a running back pass pro standpoint, but it's certainly, a win for the Lions because it gave Goff enough time and space, and there you go.
Beautiful ball.
I mean, he's as good as it gets to me from what I watch, and people are going to have a different opinion, I'm sure. The bigger, faster, more talented wide receivers. The thing that St. Brown that always presents to me is he almost catches the ball before it's there, and I know that's impossible. Some guys catch it twice. They're not playing in the NFL. Some guys catch it, and it takes them a moment to control it. Some guys catch it, and it's instantaneous control of the football. I almost feel like St. Brown, like there's a frame where the ball shouldn't be in his hands yet, and it's already secured.
Yeah. There are plays
just
like that where it's almost the ball's getting coerced or sucked into their hands,
I'm no longer a video game guy. I guess you're probably not either, but on NCAA and Madden football, for years you would see like a defender make an interception. You're like, how would he catch that? Well, then you look at the guy's ratings. He's like a 98, and his catch rating is a 99. St. Brown's catch rating, in reality should be a 100. He's that good. 81% catch rate last year on 115 catches. So, you have guys like Khalil Shakir and others who have a high catch rate percentage, meaning the catch rate percentage is like, 70% or 73%, but they've only got 65 catches total. That's 115 catches on 81.6% efficiency. And for my money, the preparation that we had on defense doesn't meet the standard that you need to stop someone like that on fourth down or third downs. We got beat by St. Brown in the biggest moments, and we just talked about two of them.
I think the in terms of scheming a team like that, you have to be prepared to stop him and the tight end. You have to have somebody that you're comfortable, I guess, manning up the tight end. But did you see much in the way of doubling him or helping on him throughout the game, St. Brown, I mean?
No.
In those crucial, just
no.
Doesn't make sense.
He's just a guy that we're going to guard.
Yep.
According to the coverage that we're playing, you get what you got.
There's a perfunctory nature to the way these coverages are being called and played.
Do you have the 3rd and 8 loaded up?
I believe I do.
So this is what quarter is this one in? Second?
This is second quarter. Yes, early in the second quarter. This is the long drive.
That's right. That's what I thought. Okay.
Yep. This is the long drive. Okay, so you start with like the trips here to this side. That's important. I guess I'm going to look at the front side or this view first, just to see what kind of pressure is being brought. Again, this is a third down and 8. So just couldn't get off the field. Notice you've got both linebackers here, A gap, B gap presence. And lo and behold, on 3rd and 8, and you see the communication here as well.
Oh, yeah.
And then earlier, let's see if we can see this. But watching the left guard now, that's Boston College, right? Mahogany?
Yep, Mahogany, second-year player. Yep.
Okay. There's a hand
He didn't
signal.
get drafted until round 6.
Yeah, I liked him.
Yep.
There's a hand signal to the back here. I guess I missed it. Maybe we'll get it later. But, the Ravens, Zach Orr, the defense, brings both of our linebackers, and they drop Mike Green on 3rd and 8.
And Green's opening up. Really, he's opening up to the wrong direction.
He's opening up inside rather than outside. And
so have you now? When we show the all 22, for those of you that are listening and watching, Green is opening up. He's up to the top side of the field.
Right here.
Yeah.
You can see the mouse.
And so there's trips there. So Green opens up, and he's looking to the downside of our screen. The bottom side where really there's only one receiver. Green, I think, is supposed to wall 3.
Absolutely. He's got to get his eyes, at least his eyes, to that side of the field immediately. But again, you're dropping your best chance, I think, at getting at the quarterback off the edge. In an effort to confuse, let's say, it's not working. And you're asking a first-year player who has been impressive in these drops really to do everything right.
He
And
should, he should play it better. Yeah. And that's where, I've had these conversations for years with coaches and with coaches who played the game at a high level. And I will tell you that there is a real dynamic where many coaches who played the game at a high level have this expectation that whatever I draw up for you, you should be able to execute, even if I'm asking you, let's say 6 plays in a row to execute 6 different techniques. And that's not realistic. And in fact, in many cases, those high level players, they didn't execute 6 different techniques in the span of 6 consecutive snaps. They're just misremembering what it was like. And in my opinion, that dynamic is possibly existing here in Baltimore in that we have too wide a coverage umbrella for too many players. And especially, like you said, a rookie who is a pass rush guy, Mike Green, no, he doesn't have any sacks yet. I don't have a problem with dropping him out some. I just have a problem with putting him in a position to succeed, and I don't think we are.
And then placing the pressure in the hands of the 2 linebackers, which we haven't really seen, the 2 inside linebackers. We really haven't seen anything that would suggest that they're going to beat a block if they're not free.
Agreed.
But this is just an easy conversion by a quarterback and a tight end.
We blow the coverage at the bottom. We think right between.
Yeah, this is
Starks and
brutal.
Awuzie.
Yeah, it's brutal. No idea what they're doing. This is a cover 3 call, and you can see right off the ball there's something going on here. Something going on where these 2 are playing basically the same role. It looks to me.
Yep.
And he's pointing sort of to the hook, which doesn't make sense, but maybe he's just saying you shouldn't be here.
I wonder about the structure of this call from a phonological standpoint or from, whatever the wording or terminology is, because here we've got Green opening up to the wrong side. We've also got, is that Tavius dropping out to the hook to our right, the bottom side of the screen?
Yep.
If you think about like a chain, really what you and I are discussing is Green is the front end of that chain, and he should be opening up the other way. And then at the back end of that chain, we think Awuzie should be like in the flats, basically.
Yes.
Right? And so you've got 2 players. One of them is an experienced guy, Awuzie, with his 4th team in the NFL, Dallas, Cincinnati, Tennessee, and now us. And then we've got a rookie to the trip side, both making a mistake. It's fine for fans to say players need to execute. That word is a really poor excuse, execute. If so many players are not executing what they're being asked to do, maybe the people providing the instruction are not doing a good enough job on the front end. That's my experience as a teacher. That's my experience as a coach. And in my opinion, they need to do some self-reflection on the front end as the coach is teaching this. Am I saying I would do a better job? No, those guys are 20 levels above me. But at the NFL level, it hasn't been good enough. And I think we've got clear evidence in some of these high-profile situations. 3rd and 8, second drive. I think it's 7-7 score right now, right?
7-7. That's right. They scored on the first drive. We stopped them on the second drive. I think there was that backward pass or whatever it was.
Yep.
So you said something, Coach, and I think it was our first game of the year, and I kind of just was zoning out, thinking about my next play or something, but I had time to reflect on it. And it speaks, I think, to next week. In terms of, you mentioned Mike Green being asked to kind of play a hard-coded outside rush. And I thought that was very astute. Unfortunately, I didn't pick up on it in the instant that you were talking about it, but how do you see Mike Green next week being asked to rush the quarterback? Because I see this team seems to me like a team right now that you would say my cover guys are my cover guys, my rush guys are my rush guys. Because if not, there's going to be missteps.
Yeah. First of all, can you let this one finish? I think Laporta makes the catch between Green and Marlin up top, right?
I think he just sits down out. Yeah, Marlin's our flat guy.
So right where we're saying that, he should be walling, and then look at Starks. It's almost like Starks and Awuzie are doubling Jamison Williams. Now this is just beyond the line to gain, right? When he catches it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the margin for error here is quite small. If we're at 88 efficiency in terms of executing our tasks, our responsibilities globally on this defense right now, this call. I don't think we're at 88%. I think we're probably at 75. But if we're at 88 and Laporta catches the ball just beyond the line to gain, what if we're at 92? What if we're at 93 or 94? We may get a stop. And the rest of that drive, which drained our defense considerably, doesn't occur. We have the ball back in our offense's hands. I think that, or Pagano, I don't know that Harbaugh is capable of fixing this. I'll be honest with you. And I know that people won't like me saying that. I used to be one that was like, okay, maybe Harbaugh should spend some time over there. And the only thing I can think is 2 years in a row we've had these issues. I don't know if he's capable of going over there and helping fix this problem, because it's the second year in a row that a high-level professional football organization with millions of dollars in resources and all the time in their hands in the world comes out and gives us this product defensively. I think, yeah, or Pagano, they deserve some blame. To me, it goes even higher. Harbaugh has got to find a way to fix this, or bring in some people who can, or he's just not the right guy.
It seems to me, and this could change this week and going forward, but it seems to me Harbaugh has disappeared. The identity of the team, it can't be pinned down in the way that it could before.
Yep. Before, yeah.
And I don't know why that is, but Harbaugh seems to be ineffective. Oh gosh, I don't know. As a leader, I don't want to be too strong on that, but it seems like he's disappeared. It seems like he's sort of disappeared and thrown his hands up. I'm sure that's not the case.
Right.
But he's in a tough position because he hired Orr. And
right.
For him to, I think it's a very challenging thing for him to make a change. And it really is headed, if things don't change defensively, it is headed in that direction where something's going to have to change.
Well, yeah.
And he put that young coach in a position that perhaps he is not ready for.
Yeah, it's possible. You're going against, you're going against guys, Jared Goff, Josh Allen, now Patrick Mahomes, Matt Stafford 3 or 4 weeks from now, who have seen it all. They've been there and they've done that, and their level of preparation, along with their head coach or offensive coordinator, is going to be at a super high level. Dan Campbell doesn't call plays either for the Lions on offense or defense. But you see markers of Dan Campbell plays on offense. There's, I think it's Dan Casey on Twitter shared the St. Brown pitch to Gibbs for a touchdown, which was also on 4th down. Maybe we could have talked about that play here. That play was actually run when Dan Campbell was on the Dallas Cowboys. And this guy, Dan Casey on Twitter, I think it's Dan Casey. Hopefully I'm not saying his name wrong. He went back and found the film.
Cool.
On Monday night during the game, after, Goff hands the ball and he's handed off vertically to St. Brown. So the points of the ball are vertical up and down so that St. Brown can catch it and then pitch it the way you're supposed to in the option drill. So I think there's a little bit more that Campbell seems to be involved in than Harbaugh. That's a simplistic statement, I'm sure, for some. I do want to talk about a zone coverage play on the same possession, actually, that you just discussed. And then maybe we'll talk about a QB spy. If you had another 3rd down you wanted to load up and talk about, that'd be fine too, but it's up to you. So this is on that 18-play drive, and this is preceding the 3rd and 8 that you and I just talked about with Laporta. So it's a 12 personnel group. Now this is a 1st and 10, but one of the big things in this game was after a 1st down incompletion or a short run, like a 1 year, I think there was one of them that was a 2nd and 9. The Lions would often go 12 personnel and then run the ball. And so we were, playing the tendencies of the NFL. 2nd and 10, 95% of the teams are going to go 11 personnel, and they're going to throw the football. And Detroit plays different. They stay committed to who they are. But the reason why I really don't like this play at all is for it's a zone coverage, so fine there. I think it looks like quarter, half to me, or cover 6, with the corner and the flats. And then Awuzie and Starks responsible for that deep half of the field together. But what really, kind of bothers me here is that Roquan doesn't appear to trust the guys around him. So This is a quick completion to Montgomery. Prior to that play, Montgomery hadn't really been involved. He smacks Teddy Buchanan on the way out of bounds. So I'm talking about Buchanan and then Montgomery. Instead of just going out of bounds like some people would, he delivers a blow. Physical, he's a physical football player, and obviously really talented. 12 carries, I think 12 carries, 151, and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
But for my money, like Roquan's got to play this better. Roquan's got to come downhill once he sees the ball thrown instead of just fronting the guy up.
Yeah.
Additional to that, I think Marlon kind of jumps inside a little bit here instead of being able to force or set this inside. I know there's no blockers there, but I'm drawing that in that way for a reason. Some people call it, cage, whatever you want to call it. I think Roquan's got to be able to play this, and he can play this a whole lot better. Last week against Cincinnati, on the short completions to the running backs, Roquan was downhill, boom, finishing it. This appears to be less committed, less of a finish.
Yeah.
And I don't know what that is other than, and this is a dynamic that I talked about a little bit last week, is that Roquan gets to the end of his pass drop and he's like capped. His heels are capped. And Buchanan gets to the end of his pass drop. And I talked about this last week against the Browns. He's always drifting. And so there is this differential in their levels. And I just wonder, I could be wrong, I perceive that he doesn't trust that if he's here, meaning Roquan is here on this side, that Buchanan is going to be there and they're going to cage him. That's the way that I perceive this. I think Roquan's got to play it better.
Yeah. I don't think that's just linebacker stuff. You don't come downhill and stop your feet like that. I would not expect a linebacker to do that, especially him.
And last week we had 4 or 5 examples of throws to running backs underneath where he's coming downhill. Mm-hmm. He's on his tracks and he's not stopping on those tracks. I do want to talk about the second down calls that Detroit used. I don't know if I want to load one up. If you have another third down that you want to load up, that's fine. While you do that, I actually think I will cover perhaps a second down run play from them. And what I guess I'll talk about here for a moment is the lack of patience, I guess, in what the Ravens did offensively versus what Detroit did. Detroit was oftentimes on 2nd and 10 getting 12 personnel on the field. I'm trying to load up one now if you feel rushed, sorry about that. But basically the idea that on 2nd and 10, the Lions, they were willing to run the football almost as a little bit of a fallback plan. Let's do it this way. 1st and 10, maybe they throw an incompletion or it's a short, it's a short gain or something like that on a pass. They're willing to run the football. I actually do have one, so I'll load it first unless you've got another third down play you want to go over.
I've got something loaded up, but I'm good with whatever you want to do.
All right, sounds good. For some reason, I'm having difficulty with navigating, switching back and forth here. So there we go. Should be you, I think.
Okay. Yep. Another 3-by-1 third down. This is 3rd and 7.
Mug.
Yeah, another mug look up front. This is the 3rd and 7 conversion when we had them backed up on whatever it was, the 2 or the 3 or something like that. This is, again, it's a case of the quarterback identifying where he wants to go. Perhaps they've seen on film that we have a tendency to show and then deliver, right?
Yeah.
If you drop this guy, they were doing this sort of thing versus the Browns last week.
Yep.
I don't get it against a much more potent offense where you don't drop somebody, let's say,
and help at all. It's similar to what we're talking about with Hamilton and St. Brown, right? In that there's no help on either side.
Or collision him, or something to stop this and give your pass rush. You're rushing 5 here, right? This is another man free.
Mm-hmm.
Not really a spy or a rat, rather.
Yeah, Buchanan looks like he's maybe on the back to me.
He is. He's on the back, and then he sees the back step up in protection, and then
Yeah.
he goes to rush the quarterback. But I think this is on the coordinator in terms of what we said, just not giving any kind of help to Starks here.
Look how close we are. And this is something that's always been remarkable to me. You know, I would say that some could interpret this as lack of awareness for the opponent that you're playing. So again, third downs,
Mhm.
St. Brown, Laporta, those are big contributors for the Lions. And here we are with an edge defender who is he within a yard of Laporta?
Yeah, almost could reach him. Just
Yeah.
reach out and touch him.
I mean, if I've seen us before, we have done this before. Wall that guy out, force him to expand. This looks like the pick stunt. I think Roquan is running the pick, and
Hmm.
it appears to me as if Montgomery goes to pick that up, and they
Yeah,
do.
something
Montgomery and the
great.
center, I believe.
Yep, just a great pickup by them.
And then Buchanan ends up free. I can't really say anything bad about Buchanan here. He's got the right guard, and then there ends up being an open lane. To me, it just looks like the timing of it doesn't work out for us from the standpoint of what Buchanan's doing. But I wish that we would help out a little more. Is Starks holding there, or is that just a freeze frame that looks like
He
one?
catches him. He catches him.
So Laporta just basically bulls into him to create
Right.
that space. Yeah,
Yeah, and the quarterback sees that. Like if you're able to collision or wall just for an instance, and it doesn't necessarily have to be Mike Green because it's third down. He's a pass
right.
rusher. It could be Roquan coming out instead of running this twist, but the quarterback's going to come off of that
Make
nine
him come
times
off of it and go to something else. Right, right.
9 times out of 10. And then if you watch Mike, he's getting some pressure.
Yeah, I'm not worried about Mike Green. I mean, we're not getting home. We're not in some cases we're not even getting close to getting home. I'd like to see something else besides just a chop or a cross chop or a euro step to the outside. I think we need some inside moves from him and maybe even some absolute bull rushes. Maybe the bull rushes aren't going to be complete wins initially, but he's got to present more with a wider variety of pass rush moves to me if he wants to win against the good tackles. And Penei Sewell was a great tackle.
Mhm.
Taylor Decker on the other side is a good one, a very good one if he's healthy. When the Lions have had trouble in the past, is games where Taylor Decker was either hurt or playing, playing at less than 90%. I think of a couple of games that gave up 3 sacks to Rashawn Gary, I think 2 years ago in 2003. I'd like to see a little bit more of a bull rusher inside move from Green more often to kind of set up those outside moves.
Mhm. Yeah, I think that was the point you were making a couple weeks ago, and I just missed it. I think you're right. I What do you think about Kyle here? Basically you have solo coverage here. Wiggins is on his own versus
Tesla.
okay.
Yeah, for me, looking at the Lions and the Ravens teams, if I know anything, I know those teams. Let's do it that way. Some people
Yeah.
may think I don't know either. It's fine. And Tesla's a super talented young man. I'm actually really excited to see him perform because his athletic profile, his size, his combine stuff is completely in line. I mean, it's almost identical to someone who I'm related to who's playing college football. So I'm really excited in a couple of years to see someone, maybe that I know really well and I'm related to possibly get an opportunity because he's very similar to Tesla, size, speed, athleticism, everything.
He's
But
at
for me,
Vandy, right?
looking at what's that?
Is he at Vanderbilt?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But for my money, and Lions fans aren't going to like this if they listen this far. Wiggins against Tesla, I'm taking that matchup with the Ravens. Go ahead. Let's see if you can beat me over there. And he couldn't. He wasn't able to beat those guys in this game in the opportunities that he's got. He's got 2 amazing one-handed catches this year. He's a super talented guy.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, if I've got Hamilton and I want to get you off the field, yeah, I'm going to move him over to a St. Brown or a Laporta, and then we'll live with the results on the other
Yeah,
side. How much does he get this first down by?
I think that's the key. He's over the marker here.
Yeah. It's like 4 or 5 yards, right? Or 3 or 4 yards.
I think the key thing you said is if I want to get him off the field, you don't get that sense. Kyle's not doing anything for me back here in this coverage.
Yeah.
The other thing is you do see if you want a shot, you got it.
Yeah, yeah, of course. Hmm.
Both of these, but certainly Marlin inside. This looks like it could be six. If the
We're
quarterback
not
runs.
taking anything away, and I think
No,
it's in line with what we're talking about. We're not ever really taking anything away,
right.
whether it's run or the pass. I'm going
What
to load
I've
up.
other than it being cover one in a strict sense, right? I don't know what Kyle's going to do here. I mean,
Yeah,
unless he's going to cap a vertical from Laporta, but the key thing is what you said. We're trying to get him off the field. You know.
I'm going to load up. I think we've got a little bit of time here.
Okay.
I feel like 45 minutes to an hour is probably good, but I don't know exactly what listeners are tuning in for. If people do actually like long form content, I'm
Mm,
a little surprised. I keep thinking that people don't like the 30-minute videos that I make or the hour-long production we do here. Let's do two more, and I think the dynamic of Detroit, the coverage and the run defense dynamic has to be integrated, and it clearly wasn't because we gave up 224 rushing yards. This dynamic here, I think, was key, and my suspicion is that Detroit came in looking at what we do on 2nd and 10, second and long, and because of their willingness to go for it on 4th down, 2nd and 10, in some ways, becomes another first down play for them. They have 3 more downs in their mind.
right.
Um, and I don't mean anywhere on the field. From the negative 15, usually they're not going to do that. Although Dan Campbell did go for it last year from like the negative 23 one game. This is third possession, that 18 play possession. It's a 2nd and 10. So I think the first down play was an incomplete pass. I think we got pressure on Goff, and he kind of throws it away, somewhere down in here. So this is the next snap, 2nd and 10, and they're in 12 personnel. They got 2 tight ends. Am I saying that we have to be in our base? No, I'm not, because Laporta can play wide receiver, so they could really turn their 12 into 11, just like we do with Likely and Andrews, for real. But this is, to me, the Lions having a plan for us and us just playing our system on 2nd down. I really love the way they block this. The tight ends are stepping out. Look at Decker stepping to Tavius and then working up immediately to Roquan. But I want to talk about Hamilton here, and I'm not faulting Hamilton. I think he's doing exactly what he's told to do according to the coverage, and that's drop to half field. Well, the problem is it's a run play.
Mm,
Now, it's a toss to Gibbs to this side. Gibbs could take it outside. He could take it on any track he wants. But my point, and I think this goes to what you and I are talking about, this appears to me to be setting up to be quarter, half, or cover 6. Basically with Wiggins in the flats, half field defender, and then these 2 deep quarters. It's the play, if you recall, where Awuzie smacks Gibbs at the end of it by folding inside here. But look at how they get up to our inside linebacker. It's not the play where Awuzie hits him. My apologies for that. Look at how they get up to our inside linebackers. Goff definitely knows something. How many times did you see this in the game where he's just signaling something, or the offensive line is? But again, 12 personnel, so 2 tight ends on the field, and we've responded with our nickel. If it's 3rd and 12, fine. If it's 2nd and 10 in most games, we're going to be in our nickel against 12 personnel on 2nd and 10. That happened, once, twice, 3 times, 4 times. How many times does that need to occur, that dynamic, that progression, before someone on the Ravens staff says, hey, maybe we should be in base on 2nd and 10 when they go 12 personnel, make them throw the football? It's a really nice job by Mahogany. I think he reaches Urban, so they're not helping him at all. Decker is stepping here with Laporta. All right. And then Decker's going to work up to Roquan and take him over. And you can see also how quickly the center works up to the 2nd level. This, to me, is a stark difference in execution of zone blocking techniques compared to us. Oftentimes we'll work up quick, whether it's a guard or a center, we're work up quick. But when we do, we lose here or we lose here. They were able to execute stuff against our nickel look. Numerically, they outnumber us. They do. I know we've got 7 in the box with 2 inside linebackers and a nickel, but numerically they outnumber us. And like I said, this is on that long drive. We had trouble lining up here. We were getting in our stance late. We were tired.
Hmm.
I thought we were tired. And this is Montgomery. I misidentified this as Gibbs. My apologies for that. You can see it's Hamilton on first contact. Buchanan's having to work off a blocker. People complained about the inside linebackers. Fine. We want them to play better, and we expect them to play better. But, hey, there is really not much you can do here if the offensive linemen are going to get up to us that quick, and they're still going to be able to seal us off and combo us on the backside. We've really, maybe as a fan base, don't understand what really good offensive line play looks like. We got witness to it the other night, and we don't have that. We don't consistently execute these concepts. And the Lions found a look that they could block up our nickel. And when they go 12, it's a control feature. They know that the 3 technique is going to be to the side of the tight end. They know that the 2-eye or the 1, whatever you want to call them, shade, they know he's going to be to the other side. So they know the exact look we're going to be in from a front standpoint, and they know the exact play calls to make in order to put their players in a position to succeed. I think I said it earlier, the Ravens were prepared to play a football game, and the Lions were prepared to play against us. And I just think that so many dynamics over the course of the game kind of reveal that, in my opinion.
Coach, how much I asked you this earlier, but we didn't talk about it too much. How much do the Ravens miss that third safety?
Yeah. Someone who maybe can allow us to move Hamilton down or move Hamilton around a little bit.
Yeah.
I agree. I think that it wouldn't surprise me if the Ravens are talking about some of the players that are out there available now to come in as a safety. I know he's a little bit out there sometimes, and I'm comfortable around those kinds of people that are outspoken. C.J. Gardner-Johnson has been successful twice in Philadelphia, and who knows if they pick him up and bring him back. I doubt it, but I wonder if we're not looking at someone like that or other players to play on the back end in a 2-high safety look and let Hamilton be down a little bit more, dime linebacker especially.
Yeah. They showed on the telecast when the game was done, just, victory formation time, I guess, DaCosta on the sideline. He looked like he ate something. He looked sick.
Yeah.
And I'm sure his wheels are turning. I'm sure there's something coming,
Well, we've got issues at the offensive line if we want to be at the standard to beat the good teams. If Ravens fans are comfortable with this team going, 11-6, maybe even 12-5, and losing in the divisional playoff, that's still a high level of football, right? It's still a very high level. It's incredible. The 99.4 percentile of teams in the world of football. That's still great or very good, but it's not good enough. It's not. Our offensive line does not execute these concepts with the consistency that the Lions did. Yeah, sure, Matabike and Van Noy being out, if people want to blame that, go right ahead. The Lions had us in a bind. They created that dynamic. I think I said it was like a fallback plan. 1st and 10, maybe our pass play gets 8 yards. Great. Maybe we throw an incomplete pass. We can still run the ball because we know the look they'll be in. To me, the Lions outcoached us on game day, but they really out-prepared us in the week leading up to Monday. That's just how I see it, how I saw it live, and how I still see it now.
Yeah. Agreed.
You want to go over the QB spy stuff? You think?
Sure.
So it took me until Tuesday to kind of believe that I had figured some of this out. What I mean by figured it out is recognized, been able to finally have time to see what the Lions were doing. I'm going to give you, I think, 2 here. And this one's from the 7th possession. I think it's in the 4th quarter when the Lions are up 7. And then the ensuing one will be a little bit later on the same possession, 7th possession. I recognize that text and font is kind of small. I've contacted the company to see if they'll give me the option to expand or make that a little bit larger. So I just really think that Detroit had a great plan on these 3rd and 6s, 3rd and 7s. So, clearly we're not talking about our coverages now. It looks like a mug look. But to me, what makes the whole thing work here is their willingness to play a linebacker, Alex Anzalone, man-to-man on Mark Andrews. I call this two-man from a coverage standpoint, meaning neither of these guys are responsible for a man, nor is it zone. So that's how simple it is for me to call something two-man, meaning you've got man on everybody else up front. So they're manned here with these three players on our three receivers. They're manned on Andrews. And then one of the linebackers, usually it was Jack Campbell, is responsible for the running back. So I call it two-man, but as we roll this thing through, EA, if you have a different word for it, let me know. But what really intrigues me is how they were getting it done, the spy on Lamar. It's basically a three-man rush, and it's a hard-coded outside rush for the defensive ends. By the way, this is a really nice job by Lamar. Branch has taken this under route from Tylan Wallace. It's a drag, a mesh concept, between Andrews and Wallace. We're talking about here. It's a mesh concept, and so Branch went with that. They do that in their structure, in their system, the lines. Their safeties are given I don't want to say freedom, they're given the responsibility of jumping the first crosser. That's been their system for years. I mean, that's one of the reasons why Kirby Joseph has 18 interceptions in 52 career games played, because he jumps stuff. But I don't even want to say jump because, it's their system. So let's talk about the way that the spy worked out. Barnes is lined up in the B gap. He was off in the spy, okay, and he is on this play. Campbell is occupying the center, but really he's responsible for the running back. So if Hill goes across, then Campbell's going to go with him. This is not a situation where Anzalone would go with the back and Campbell would guard the tight end. That's not sound. So the way that they did this is I think they predetermined where Lamar would go. So Hutchinson is on a predetermined outside rush. Muhammad, predetermined outside rush. And in my opinion, what they're doing is they're funneling Lamar into the spy. Now, does that mean that it'll work every week? No. I mean, it doesn't work on this play, right? Lamar hits Bateman because here you can see Branch's feet right there. He went with that drag from Tylan Wallace in the mesh concept. But it works because they showed a five-man front from a blitz standpoint, right? So they know that we're going to keep the back in. And I think it kind of, I don't want to say confused us, but it muddied up what's happening here, right? Campbell is lined up over the center, and then he's peeling with Justice Hill. It kind of really just makes it muddy or less clear to interpret what's happening. That one didn't work, right? It was another win for Bateman. I'd like to see, I would have liked to have seen Bateman get more targets, particularly against Terry and Arnold. But this is seventh possession. Look, Lamar gets tackled 3 times in a row here. One of them was a QB draw, which I'm not going to show you. This is the very next play.
Okay.
Still on the same possession. And so, again, it's the same look. 2-man, 2 safeties, not responsible for anyone. Anzalone manned up on Andrews. The very next play that we call, we think they're going to be in 2-man again, and they're not. But if we had to do over again, like I said, I think we'd like to come down here to Bateman against Arnold more often. Arnold has not been, really effective this year compared to DJ Reed on the other side. But here's the rush scheme, in my opinion. You've got hard-coded outside rush for Muhammad, hard-coded outside rush for Hutchinson, and then they're just funneling Lamar into the spy. This is, of course, the sack by Trevor Nowaski, who most Ravens fans probably don't know, have never heard of. He's a pretty good football player for a guy who hardly ever gets on the field. So, I mean, I have seen this before, this scheme, but it's just surprising to me that it caused so much problems for us, and really, I think was the main reason why they got 7 sacks. They predetermined Lamar's escape path. Normally, in a normal situation where guys might have a two-way go and jump to the inside, Lamar's gone boom to the outside, and now it's chaos for the defense. This, to me, looks like they said, hey, we're going to turn every scramble situation into the same exact drill, and then we're going to drill that over and over and over again all week. And I just think their level of preparation was 2 levels higher than ours overall.
Yeah, they played that great, and that particular play played out exactly the way I guess they had anticipated. You see both guys win on the outside.
Yep.
Coverage is good, and you see Fa'alele Now,
Yeah,
on the
Peel.
previous play, Linderbaum does not lose track of what's
Right.
going on in front of him. And you had mentioned earlier you thought that the Lions perhaps anticipated this out of the
Absolutely.
right guard
Or
being that
left
he
guard.
away.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like how they use different spies. They have the
Yes.
flexibility to just you don't know who that's going to be. They
Yep.
trust who was it? Barnes, the guy the previous
Barnes,
play. Yeah,
53, 55, excuse me. Yep. I
yeah,
I think that speaks to what they were doing, which was trying to elongate the time during the game at which the Ravens coaches would understand what's happening. Clearly, at some point, the Ravens coaches understood it. They understood it, way before I did. Like I said, it was sometime into Tuesday afternoon before I was like, "Oh, I get it now. I understand." But the some if you did the spy with the same guy every time, like you said, or like you kind of alluded to, then it becomes obvious. Oh, okay, this is a spy again.
yeah.
They did it with Barnes. They did it with Anzalone one time. They did it with, I think they may have done it with Campbell one time as well. And then they did it with Nowaski here. I think they're just presenting different looks
Yeah.
to extend the time that they can use that coverage, which is somewhat unique, really. A 3-man rush with 2-man behind it. I mean, that's not used against athletic quarterbacks that often. You don't play 2-man or man free against some of these athletic quarterbacks because backs are turned by the DBs and quarterback just takes off running. That couldn't happen because the Lions predetermined um, where Lamar would end up. They basically funneled him. And, I don't know when the Ravens coaches figured it out, but I don't think it was in the first half because it didn't show up that often. I think it was sometime probably in the third or fourth quarter.
And just to cap off where we started, you see that sense of unity, or that's not the right way to put it, but out of the Lions, where everyone knows their job.
Yep.
It's not simple. They're not making it simple for them, but everybody's working toward the same end. I love how they line not only use different guys to play the role of spy, but line them up differently. There's just no way to spot
Yep.
it.
Yep.
And there's just an ease of how they play these coverages, and we should be there. We should be there.
That's right. That's right. I think that's the comparison point to make, or the exclamation point to make, is that they appear to have things hard coded, predetermined, declared, meaning, okay, we're going to play this. And we know that there is an obvious, I don't want to say weakness, but there's a way to attack it. And then we're going to train to minimize the errors or mistakes that we'll make in trying to stop the weakness of this look. Whereas the Ravens are playing this wide net of coverages, really wide. I don't know if McDonald's coverage umbrella in Baltimore in 2023 was this wide. This to me reminds me a little bit of the start of 2022 with McDonald, where he's playing so many coverages and we were having trouble keeping up with all of them as players.
Mm-hmm.
And then here we are again. It happened in 2024 to begin the season, and it's happening again in 2025. Maybe the silver lining is there will become a time where we become more functional, more efficient at all of the coverages. Mm-hmm. It better be soon.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we're very fortunate that we're playing in a down division, because if you had to worry about, you do have to worry about Pittsburgh and Cincy and Cleveland, but not to the extent that we've had to.
Agreed. I totally agree. I said that in one of my Lions videos that maybe from yesterday, that I felt like, the Ravens division this year is drastically different than it has been in previous seasons. I mean, Cleveland's not going anywhere. Cincinnati's not going anywhere. Pittsburgh's got talent on both sides of the ball, and they're going to win some games. Cleveland's got, a really devastating defensive line, and they've got let's be honest, they've got a somewhat simplistic, direct defensive system. They're going to play man free. They're going to do it from a one high safety alignment. Good luck if you want to do that this week against the Lions, Cleveland. Play man free with all the weapons they've got. We'll see. That's going to be a tremendous clash between those teams. I expect Cleveland to play well defensively. I do, but I expect Detroit to have a plan for man free. If you're only going to play man free against them, they're going to attack it really differently than we did in the first half last week. I'm looking forward to that game, and kind of looking forward to our game against the Chiefs with a little bit of dread, to be honest with you, with our preparation on the defensive side. Hopefully, those guys are practicing today for Baltimore for that game. And I wonder about what our work rate was like between Monday night and right now, as you and I record this early Wednesday morning.
Yeah, I think that you're crossing your fingers that the Chiefs aren't the Chiefs really this week, because if they come out and they're the Chiefs,
they've not been able to run the ball consistently so far. Mahomes has been their leading rusher.
Yeah,
and if they watched this game, which of course they did, duo and inside zone look like pretty good concepts to run against our nickel front.
Mm-hmm.
Until we present some different looks and actually get our players moving. Roquan and Buchanan, people complained about a lot. Okay, fine. I don't think those complaints are incorrect or inaccurate. I will say this: we didn't go out of our way to move the front, to slide guys, to slant, pinch. We didn't really do much other than stay in our dedicated nickel front and just kind of accept what Detroit was offering us. That's not good enough.
Yeah. Yep. Well, Chiefs are, to my eye, in what I've seen, are weak at left guard, weak at right tackle. So there's some hay to be made, I think, defensively. But
yeah, I'm looking for us to let Green attack a little bit more this week and let the young man develop. I'd like to see him against Simmons. I'm a big fan of Josh Simmons. I was in the draft last year. I thought that the Chiefs received a real blessing by him dropping that far. I thought he was the most athletic tackle in the whole draft, and I thought that from a movement standpoint, he was better than the guy from LSU, and even from a technique standpoint. But Campbell, I think, is playing pretty well so far for the Patriots. In any case, you got any final thoughts here, EA, before we close this one up? Is a tough one to produce because of the time constraints and because of the result.
Yep. Still enjoying it a great deal. It doesn't matter. It's good to learn and watch and see what I can pick up on. So
well, we all learn from each other, and I wish I had more time to watch other people's stuff. Coach Evans, Sip the Tally, Jason at Huddle, just so many people. I wish I had more time to watch their stuff. I just don't, and especially in a week like this. So
yeah, really good film community Ravens have.
Yeah, the Ravens are super blessed with how many guys try to put out content. So, well, thanks for joining me again, and especially in such a time restrictive environment that we had from Monday night to now. But we definitely got this thing done around the time frame that we originally planned for. So thank you.
Yes, thank you.
All right, guys. Well, if you enjoyed Inside the Coverage, probably or hopefully a little bit more than you enjoyed the game on Monday night, or at least the result of it, please let us know in the comment section. If you're not aware, likes and comments really just drive the exposure of the videos. And so if you want this, endeavor that EA and I are partaking for 2025, no matter what the result, 7-10, 10-7, 12-5, we're going to do this every week. It is a commitment for us. So if you enjoyed it, please at minimum, like or comment. If you want to join my Patreon and get a part of the Ravens Discord or donate or something through YouTube, that would obviously be appreciated as well. And then finally, if you think other Ravens fans would enjoy the things that we had to say here, or at least appreciate the honesty we're trying to give you, then please consider grabbing a link to this video, sharing it out on social media somewhere to help this content get more reach.